When it comes to writing copy online, when it comes to writing anything that you need to do to push your business forward, from the social media posts that you put out there to your paid ads, copy is so important. But when it comes to actually making sales, there is no more important place than your website and your homepage. This is because this is the core of your business. People are going to come to this page and they're either going to buy or they're going to leave your page based on how good the copy is on this page. It is absolutely vital that you get this right if you want to increase these sales. So today, I'm going to help you develop a better page by first talking about what to do before you even put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard or whatever. And then I'm going to give you some great tips to win bigger with your copywriting through certain writing techniques that you can use to win big today. My name is Trent Kennelly. I'm a marketing strategist, and on this channel, I talk about all the things that you can do to improve your business through marketing, sales, and analytics. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, comment and let me know which of these techniques you're using right now. If you've thought about this framing that I'm about to give you, just stand by. We're gonna get there in just a second. I would love to know, and let's get started. All right, before you even start writing, let's be very clear. Copywriting isn't just about the words on the page. There is so much more that goes into it before you ever start putting your fingers on the keyboard and typing away. It is very, very important that you understand your audience. Now, I talk about that a lot in this video on ideal customer avatars. The idea here is that you want to understand your target very, very well and even form an identity around them so you can make up a person that really kind of embodies your target audience. So if your target person is between 18 and 35, you can pick a 30-year-old and a woman, let's say, who likes to be on Facebook groups about business, etc. So you can be very specific and granular to understand better how to speak to that person. Because once you have identified exactly who that target is, it's much easier to understand how they speak. It's much easier to identify the issues that they've had with competitor products or services. It's much easier to find out the pains and the pleasures that they're looking to have resolved, all that sort of stuff that you can really understand very clearly. And once you understand that, it makes writing to that person so much easier. All right, so if you already have an idea of who your target is, or at least once you've done that ideal client avatar exercise, the next thing to do is get more granular. So you want to get more granular on how they speak, the best ways to motivate them, what kind of questions they ask, the kind of pains that they're needing to have solved, etc. The best way to do this is to go where they are. And one good option here is Reddit. So I've talked about Reddit many times on this channel. I'm sure you're very familiar with it. The point is that no matter who you are or what you sell, Reddit has a community. For instance, there's an entire subreddit dedicated to people photoshopping human arms on birds. I've mentioned this one before because it just blows my mind that it exists. But my point here is that if they have a community for people who Photoshop human arms on birds, there's a community for you, and I guarantee it. So Reddit is a very good option. You just have to find your subreddit. If you're not sure exactly which one it would be, because sometimes they kind of mix up a little bit and they change things up a bit, go to redditlist.com. That's a good option to get you started, and make sure you pay attention to the comments because that's gonna guide you down the correct path if you're not in the right location. If you're an e-commerce brand, Amazon is a great option as well. You can look at the product reviews for similar things to what you're selling, and you're gonna see the pains right away and the pleasure points that you can address in your copy. So that's very important. And then another really good one, this is again for anybody, not just e-commerce, is Facebook groups. There are thousands of Facebook groups in your niche, I guarantee. It's the same thing as with Reddit. There is something in your niche, and people are very open in these groups. They're very open to feedback, to getting information, to exchanging information, etc. And it makes it a lot easier to find out what people really think in your niche about a product or a service or a need, etc. The next pre-writing tip I have for you is to frame the page. This really is not talked about enough, but copy is a holistic approach to page building. The images and the text need to at least relate a little bit, okay? You don't want to have text about a bicycle next to a picture of a car. It doesn't relate. People aren't going to understand how one has anything to do with the other, and it's just going to cause a little bit of confusion. You want a cohesive story throughout the page that's just going to make things a lot easier when people are trying to understand what you do, what you offer, why you're better, etc. And by framing out the page ahead of time, it makes it a lot easier to understand where your images are, understand where your text is, understand when they need to very clearly relate and when it's maybe a little bit looser as an interpretation and where you can play with things, etc. And by having that frame out, it just makes that entire story more cohesive. All right, here's a frame out that I suggest. This is one I find is very effective most of the time. You can set this up in Docs or in Word or however you like to use your Word documents, but I would suggest this in a Word document because you can add the table into a Word document and it's very easy to work with, okay? So first, header. So this is a full width section. It can be either an image or in some cases a video background with a headline, a subheading, and a CTA. So that headline should be no more than 2 lines and it should be no more than 50% the width of the page, whether you're putting it left justified, center, or right justified, doesn't matter. It needs to be no more than 50% of that width. And then an equal width for the subheading underneath, which just gives a little bit more description of the information that the headline gave. And then finally, a call to action button. So that would be a CTA button that says, take the next action, learn more, get a demo, buy from us, whatever, okay? The next section is a full width section. So this is just no image, full text section with a heading, text, and a CTA button so that anybody who wants a little bit more information from that last section can read right here a little bit more about generally what the product or service is. And the next thing is what I call dancing columns. So these are broken out different parts of your product or service. So different features that you offer, different benefits that people have gotten from it, etc. You want these to switch. So you want the image on the left and then the text on the right for the first one, and then the text on the left and the image on the right for the second one, and then switched again for the third one. The text should have a headline, regular text, and a call to action button on each one of these so that people always have that call to action button to take action on, okay? And then the image right here, it's very important, should relate to that text, okay? And then next, you want to have a 3-column section. So this will be either your value propositions where you have, let's say, an icon and words that say what you stand for, like green living or equal rights or something like that. Or you could have testimonials here. So that would be an image of the person giving the testimonial, the text of the testimonial, and then their name and their signature at the bottom, okay? Those are the 2 different options for those rows, but you wanna have no more than 3 on that column. And then finally, you wanna have a full width row, and here you're making your final pitch. So again, this is gonna be a headline, text, and button. You wanna make whatever last arguments you need to make for anybody who's made it this far down for why they want to take action. This is a very important section. There's not gonna be many people that come down this way, but for the people that do come down this way, you wanna have something there for them to be really excited to take that action. There are other sections that you can add in here, like a section that's of people that you've worked with or companies that you've worked with. You don't need it every time. This is the basics of what I really suggest for every website. All right, now for some writing tips. So the first one is the style of copywriting. There are 2 types of copywriting, generally speaking. The first is toward pleasure, and the second is away from pain. Toward pleasure is when your offer is leading them toward a more pleasurable life or a more pleasurable business experience or whatever. Think cocktails and lounge chairs, okay? Away from pain is when you're solving a pain or you're removing the reader from the pain that they're experiencing. Both of these are very strong emotions. Nobody wants to experience pain. Everybody wants to experience as much pleasure as possible. So you're trying to capitalize on those 2 mindsets. All right, here's an example of toward pleasure writing. These gel inserts were really easy to install. Just take out the sole of your shoe, slip these in, and go about your day. They're so comfortable, it's like walking on a cloud. Now, I know that's not the best copy in the world. It just was the first thing that came to my head and I went for it. I'm sorry. But the idea here is that it is sucking you in with the benefits of the product, which make it feel like you're gonna walk on a cloud, like you're not even gonna feel your feet on the ground, and it's gonna be oh so comfortable. Everybody wants to be more comfortable, right? You like to walk on clouds. Everybody likes to walk on clouds. The idea is pleasure. We're looking at the pleasure of the experience. We want to feel better. Here's an example of away from pain. Forget spending hours at mechanic shops. With Zippity, we service your car wherever you are. From brake service to oil changes, we have just what you need in our all-in-one repair van. So they ID'd the pain, which was spending way too much time in mechanic shops, and they resolved that pain by having an all-in-one van that brings the mechanic shop to you, and you don't have to work any harder. They just do it for you, okay? So no more spending hours in mechanic shops. Sounds great. Easy solution to a pain. The next thing you really need to focus on is your headline. So this is arguably the most important text on the page. It's the first thing that people are gonna see when your page loads, and it needs to either get people to click on that button and continue to the next step, or read more down the page and keep them moving and interested and wanting to learn a little bit more, which means that you need to do two things in a single sentence. The first thing is that you need to communicate your core message. You need to tell people clearly what your business is, what it is that you do, and how you can help people. Second, you need to get them to care. So now that they understand what it is, they need to understand why it applies to them and why you're the best company or man or woman for the job. All right, so two examples to kind of show you this point a little bit more. First one is from Asana. So Asana's headline is, work on big ideas without the busy work. This is fantastic because Asana is a productivity tool. The whole point of Asana is that you can get more done in less time and cut out the fluff. Work on big ideas, so you can do big things with the system without a lot of the extra work you might have had to do without the system. Fantastic line. That's why you should care, because there's less busy work. Weight Watchers is another good example. Weight Watchers is the diet planning service. You've definitely heard of them before. Their headline is weight loss and wellness designed for you. So this is fantastic and very simple. Weight loss and wellness, that's what they do. That's who they are. That's what they're there for. Designed for you. That's why you should care, because it's not boilerplate. It is specifically designed and tailored for the needs that you have as an individual. So it tells you what they are, tells you why you should care, and it does it in 7 words. Next, short paragraphs. This is short and sweet. The longer the paragraph, the less likely someone is going to read it. It feels a little bit overwhelming to read a very thick paragraph, and you don't really want to do it, especially if it's salesy, okay? It is far less likely that someone is going to read that super thick paragraph versus a very small paragraph. So try to keep those paragraphs as short as possible. I honestly like to try to keep them to a single line or a single sentence if I can, but don't overuse that because that can feel kind of jolty too, like you're a robot. So play with the two. Don't be afraid to use slightly longer paragraphs if you have a lot of short paragraphs as well. Next is storytelling. So we respond best as human beings to stories. You can check out this video for a deep dive into storytelling for business. But here, I just want you to understand that we want to draw people in with the story as much as we can. Stories are not just for entertainment, they're for sales as well. You want to go through a normal story arc just like any traditional story. So that would be introducing the conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, and conclusion. You just want to focus on how your product or your service is the hero of that story, and that is going to help people be more excited about making that purchase at the end. Next, calls to action. So you should have a call to action visible everywhere. So a call to action is a request for them to take another action, okay? So click this button or something like that. You can check out this video for more information on calls to action, a real deep dive there. But in any case, there are 2 elements to a good call to action. The first is a clear request for action. So that would be a text like buy now or learn more or get a demo, that sort of stuff. The second would be an obvious way to take that action. So a lot of the time this comes in the form of a button or some sort of a clickable link people can just click on to go to the next page, to the checkout page or whatever. But in any case, the call to action is really coming down to context. It's not just the text on the button, because if you remove all of the text around the button and just have a single button that says buy now, nobody knows what they're supposed to be buying and they're not going to click on anything, okay? So the text around that button itself is just as important, okay? So a good example here is Roberto Blake's page. Here's the text. It's watch each week as Roberto offers his insights into marketing, the mindset of creativity, and monetizing your message. And then the call to action button is subscribe today. So you can see that if you take that text away, that watch each week text, and you just have subscribe today, well, what am I subscribing to? Why would I do this? So you want to have that extra text around there to add that context and to get people more interested in understanding exactly what they would be subscribing to if they click that button. Next, benefits beat features. So every product and every service that has ever been in existence has features. A free car freshener with a car wash is a feature. Paint on a wall that is white is a feature of a house. But ultimately, nobody cares about features. They care about how those features benefit them, okay? They only want to know, is this something that's going to do something for me or not? So what do your main features do to benefit the reader? Write it in that way. Write it in a way that highlights that benefit and not just that feature. Don't just give me a list of features. I mean, you can have that on your page, but don't make that the main focus. That's not going to interest anybody. Finally, emotionally charged words. So some words just give off emotion without even needing context. You can simply use a single word and get people to feel a certain way. Good examples here are secret, magical, scandal. instant, and reliable. All of these are very different, but all drive you into an emotional direction. Reliable is going to be very different than magical, but you get an emotion out of it, okay? Now, do watch out for overused words and buzzwords because they sound good now, but they're going to be worn out very quickly, and you don't want to be caught up in being dismissed because you're overusing buzzwords, okay? Good examples here are first, passion. Is everyone passionate about everything? No. This one hasn't totally worn out yet, but it's coming, so probably don't use it. Revolutionary. Now, maybe this is because I'm in the business and entrepreneurship space, but revolutionary is everything. Everything is blockchain and everything is revolutionary. So if everything's revolutionary, nothing is revolutionary. So maybe let's leave this one off to the side as well. It actually doesn't have the punch that it used to. And then third, I want to point out is dynamic. This one specifically means nothing. What do you mean when you say you're dynamic? Is everybody dynamic? Is nobody dynamic? Is it the new word for multitasking? What does this mean? So hopefully that helped you figure out how to write a better page. Let me know if you have any questions about that or otherwise which of these techniques that you've used, if that framing mentality helped you out a little bit. I think that really is going to be very effective for you because I find that with my clients, it is very, very helpful. Otherwise, if you like this video, make sure that you give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I will catch you in the next one.